Hello, my lovelies. Welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jamie. I have a new mic today. I am so excited you guys can actually hear me. I am excited. For those of you who are recent YouTubers, I will definitely link the one that I have in my description so that you guys can see and test it out. It's definitely one of the cheaper ones. I did want to try this out. So, side note, I will admit this is actually very unexpected, okay? This is something that I definitely did not anticipate on receiving this month. Yeah, Charlie's having to literally go around the whole thing to get to the door. That's how many I have today. It's insane. So the amount of books that I have today is a very large quantity. I have 42 books here today that are new to me. All of them are used. Two different places. I received a small stack from the library. You guys probably would have saw that in a little short I did on Saturday. And if you did not, we're going to go over them really, really quick. I will do those first because those are more popular than the rest of these guys. So story time. For those who did not watch my last really, really big book haul, that was the 35 plus book haul that I did last year, about this time. Those were from my mother's, now husband's, late ex-wife. She unfortunately passed away due to breast cancer. She was a definite reader. Majority of them were thrillers. So I received a lot of her paranormal and her romance last year. This year, I realized that they didn't give me all of them. So we have more thrillers to go to today, only by two authors. Half of them are Dean Koontz, and half of them are Stephen King. So if you guys don't like either, then I would say don't bother watching this video. It's okay. I am going to do a little mini one beforehand. She loved both of these authors. I have just recently started getting into Stephen King, and I had never read any Dean Koontz before. My mother said that, you know, if I decide I don't like the author or not, then I can pack them up and give them to the library or give them a new home. It doesn't matter. They wanted them gone. I did go through them already. Out of 57 books, I kept 42. I know. I know you can't get to me, huh? I know. That's why we're going to do this video, so that you can have the floor back. Because it's covering the floor. So I have never read Dean Koontz before. He will be an author I definitely dive into now because I have heard a lot about his books. I've been really wanting to get into them, and here's my opportunity. I have not even half of his backlist. I have like maybe 25% of the backlist now. Very few of them are going to be hardback. This was kind of like her paperback collection. There's going to be some, but most of them are going to be the mass paperback productions. So I am going to start off, there you are. Okay, we're going to start off with the stack I received from the library. This stack, okay. Yeah, this stack was from the library, and I found a lot of really good books, guys. Obviously, you guys can see with the first one that I pulled out. Mystery Guest by Nina Prose. I did read The Maid, and I really, really liked it. This is brand new, guys. Like, literally, there's been nothing done to this. It was probably not even read once, if that. So this is very, very new. For those of you who have not read The Maid, I will go into it a little bit. You'll see why. But this is the second book, The Mystery Guest, in that series. Next one I found, I have been wanting to get into this author so bad. I see her all over Instagram. She looks like such a funny lady. And I know that she did just give birth to her son. It was so cute. The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I have been wanting to get into her books. The one that came out recently, Dating at the End of the World, I've been really wanting to start that one, but I do want to see if her writing is a style that I'm going to enjoy. Sarah Morgan is a successful and powerful defense attorney in Washington, D.C. As a named partner at her firm, life is going exactly how she planned. The same cannot be said of her husband, Adam. He is a struggling writer who has had little success in his career and he tires of his and Sarah's relationship as she is constantly working. So there's a lot of problems I already see with that. Sounds like someone's jealous. It sounds like someone is not happy in their marriage, which it is definitely not a perfect marriage if that's the case. Same with this one. I was hoping for a hardcover. If I do find one later, I will definitely swap it out. But the next one that I need for Dan Brown's series is Origin. And this is a cover I've never seen before. I have never seen the cover look like a little spiral before. I think they've just recently started changing up the covers because these are all of the new covers. This is the next one that I need to read. I am super excited for this one. Robert Langdon arrives at the Guggenheim Museum, I believe is how you pronounce it, to attend the unveiling of an astonishing scientific breakthrough. The evening's host is billionaire Edmund Kurst? I don't know. Whose dazzling high-tech inventions and audacious predictions have made him a controversial global figure. But before his secret is revealed, the orchestrated evening is blown apart. With his life under threat, Langdon is forced to flee, aided by the museum's director, Ambra. So it's another chase, a hidden enemy type of book, and I am super excited to dive more into that series. I really want to finish that series sooner rather than later because he did just come out with the 6th book, and I honestly don't know how long he's going to take it for. So it's best to be caught up and just see the new ones that come up. This next one, I have been looking for this author for a long time. I know she's written 3 books. The same author who wrote Hester. So Laurie Lecco Albanese. I'm going to say it that way. I was able to find Stolen Beauty. This is one of the very few books that she has. So as the new century begins, Adele, young, brilliant, and Jewish, is hungry for freedoms unknown to other Viennese women. And then she meets renegade genius Gustav. Even in an age where sex and art are beginning to break through the facade of conventional society, anti-Semitism simmers in the shadows of Adele's coffeehouse afternoons and cultural salons. And nearly 40 years later, Adele's niece, Maria, is a newlywed when Nazis invade Austria, and overnight, her beloved Vienna becomes a war zone. So it sounds like it's going to be a dual POV or a dual timeline. That's what it sounds like. I am not sure. But I think where they're going with this is what happened to Vienna and the art during the World War II and see like the background of some of those works, maybe? I don't know. But I really enjoyed Hester, and I have been looking for another one by her. I'm super excited for this. This one, it is such a beautiful copy. I am so happy that I found this. Look at this. I know they had the like color-coded version in the hardcover, but I didn't know they had it in the paperback too. And I love the edges too. These are the serrated edges. I love books that have that. Demon Copperhead, this is a Pulitzer Prize winner, which I didn't realize that before I really looked at it. The only reason why I don't mind the stickers is if it's a Pulitzer Prize. I have been wanting to dive more into those, and I have heard a lot about this one in particular, that it's a kind of like a retelling of David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. I've heard a lot of things about this. I've heard it's very dense, but at the same time, it's really, really good. So we'll see. We'll see on this one. This one was a curiosity grab. Guys, I kid you not. When I saw this, I literally had to put a book back because I was not leaving without this. I found it. Been really looking for a nice hardcover copy that is not $20. Probably read once and disposed of, which the library does have people who do that. And you just gotta pick and choose. I grabbed it. Now my series is complete because I have all the books already. I do want to get new copies of the Hunger Games. That's just because they're in such poor condition and they don't have the dust covers on them. So I do want to replace them eventually, but this one was the main priority at the moment. I was so happy to find this. It was worth putting the other book back. Haymitch's Story, I really fell in love with this year. I read that back in April. And for those who don't know about that book, definitely read it. So we were talking about the mystery guest in the beginning. This is the first book, The Maid by Nita Prose. This book is about a lady. She is very blunt and to the point. I really liked her character. I have already read this one. I have not read the rest in the series. She reminded me a lot of Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. If you guys like him and you like characters that are that kind of blunt and funny at the same time, I definitely got that from her. It is a very, very short book. I love this. This was a good thriller whodunit. Molly is definitely a character. I would give this book a try just so you can see what kind of person that she is. All right, the last one I got from the library is another hardcover. I was so happy to see this, and I was not leaving without it this time. I've seen it a couple of times, and I just never grabbed it and took it with me. We have the Jane Austen Society. This is by Natalie Jenner. Seen it a whole bunch of times, and I love Jane Austen, and the title, if not the cover, just really intrigued me from the start. In the early 1800s, Clawton was the final home of Jane Austen, one of England's finest novelists. By the 40s, little remains of her legacy but a few distant relatives and their diminishing estate, including the cottage where Austen wrote her revised books. With the winds of change blowing through the country as the post-war days and the cottage's future now in the hands of fate, a group of desperate individuals fight to preserve both Austen's home and her legacy of the world. It just sounded so good when I picked it up. And Jane Austen is one of my favorite classic writers, so for me, this would just add to my love of it, I think. I know there's a lot of people who don't like Stephen King as a person, and they don't like his works because of how he writes. It's a hit or miss for me. I thought Carrie was okay. I love the Salem's Lot. Shining creeped me out, but I didn't really like Dr. Sleep. So right now we're like a 3v2 ratio. And that's not bad. That's not bad. So for these books, I'm definitely going to have to pick and choose. I have The Stand. This is a first edition of The Stand. I did double check. This is just a regular blunt copy. I was going to look up what it was about specifically, but this is the next one that I need to read for his books. So if you guys want to stick around for a little bit and figure out what this one's about, you and me both. We'll dive into that very soon. I did all these in publication date, by the way. We're starting off with the earliest all the way down to the newest. The next one that came up on that list was Stephen King, It. I am scared to read this one. I'm not scared of Stephen King thrillers anymore because I really do enjoy them, and I think he's very, very talented when it comes to writing really creepy things. But this one, considering that it is about a clown, and I've seen trailers, and I've seen what it's about, I am not excited to start this one. Not even getting into the length of it, just for the fact that there's clowns in here scares me. I am scared to death of clowns. When we had that clown scare back in 2017, I think it was, I was scared to death. Okay, I was like, my worst nightmare has come true. We're gonna be killed by clowns. We're all gonna die. I fell apart. So I'm scared to death of clowns. That is my least favorite one that I am looking forward to. So we're gonna move on. Next, we have another popular one. I think this is very well loved by a lot of people, and same with the movie. We have Misery. I know what this one is about. This is about a lady who takes this man, he's a famous author, to, try and take care of him, but it comes out she is very, very obsessed with him, and very creepily so. This is one that I am excited to get to because it's definitely a lot shorter than some of his other works. This is barely 300 pages. Wow. It is definitely very short. One, I am very excited to read this one and watch the movie. All right, next one we have is The Dark Half. Can't really talk about this one. I am at a loss, but this is one of the ones that Laquitas signed. I don't know what this one is about, honestly. So your guess is as good as mine. We're going to continue. This is probably the only Stephen King book that I read before I really started going through the backlist, and that was The Green Mile. I read this in my junior year in high school. We went through it as a class. We read the book, and then we watched the movie. The movie was really good. They did that justice, by the way. That was so good. Tom Hanks did such a good job. It is told mostly from the perspective of a cop who is in charge of watching the jail that they're in. They get a new inmate who is supposed to be on death row. Majority of the people who go there are on death row. And he is in there because they considered him responsible for the deaths of 2 little girls. So we go through his story. We go through a couple of other people's stories. But most of it is told from the perspective of the cop in here. I forgot what the cop's name is. Anyway, but yeah, so I've already read this one. This one was just really nice to have on the shelves. I did really enjoy it. All right, next one on the backlist is Bag of Bones. I haven't really heard much about this one. So 4 years after the sudden death of his wife, 40-year-old best-selling novelist Mike Noonan is still grieving. Unable to write and plagued by vivid nightmares set at the Western Maine summer house he calls Laura, Mike reluctantly returns to the lakeside getaway. There he finds his beloved Yankee town held in the grip of a powerful millionaire, Max DeVore, whose vindictive purpose is to take his 3-year-old granddaughter, Kyra, away from her widowed young mother, Maddie. As Mike is drawn into Maddie and Kyra's struggle, he falls in love with both of them. He is so drawn to the mystery of Sarah Long's and now the sight of the ghostly visitations and escalating terrors. What are the forces that have been unleashed here, and what do they want of Mike Noonan? This is a very chunky book. I don't know if that's because of the paperback version. That is chunky. It's over 700 pages. I'm not going to look at that again, not until I decide to read it. All right, the last one in this stack was Lizzie's Story. This is another one that I haven't heard much about. Okay, so apparently every marriage has 2 hearts, one light and one dark. I mean, I could say that about this, people have a light and a dark side, but that's definitely interesting. Lizzie Landon shared a profound and sometimes frightening intimacy with her husband, Scott, a celebrated best-selling novelist. He likes writing about authors. He did that with The Shining. Apparently, Bag of Bones is about an author, and now we got Lizzie's Story. And Misery. Well, does he like writing thrillers about authors because it's, part of what he does? I don't know. But this is getting interesting. One was the place where his gifts of imagination came from, a place that could heal or destroy him. Now, 2 years after his death, it's Lizzie's turn to face Scott's demons on a nearly fatal journey to the darkness he inhabited. Yay! Inherited demons! I love that kind of story because it creeps me out. Alright, so that was one stack, and now we're going to move on to the other stack. I did see this one in here, and I did do some research. I did not know that Stephen King has a pseudonym, apparently as Richard Bachman, so I learned something when I went through the box. This one is Blaze. This is just a random one. He's only read a couple as Richard Bachman, maybe 6 books, so not very many. I don't know why they would put Stephen King as Richard Bachman on here. It's maybe that's what sold the book. Because we would never know, and then boom! Oh! Why? Clayton was always a small-town delinquent, none too bright either, thanks to the beatings he got as a kid. Then Blaze met George Rackley, a seasoned pro with 100 cons and one big idea. The kidnapping should go off without a hitch, with George as the brains behind their dangerous scheme. But there is only one problem. By the time the deal goes down, Blaze's partner in crime is dead, or is he? Interesting. Alright, next one. I kept this one separate from the novels because this is a duo. We have The Talisman by Stephen King and Peter Schwab. This is definitely gone through the ringer. She's fallen apart a little, but she's still in good enough condition. Maybe I can put it back together. It is very clean break. So I think if I either glue it, I'm going to have to really look into what would be best for that kind of situation. But I do want to keep it. It doesn't really say what it's about on the back, so we're going to kind of just glaze over it. But this is a part of a duo using words like terror and thriller and nightmare, so I'm guessing this is another scary one. I'll be the judge of that. Okay, so I do have 2 books up there that are Stephen King related. One of them is The Gunslinger. There's the first one in the series, and then I have The Dark Tower, which is the 7th in the series. I was so happy to find that I was given 3 more out of that series, and thank God they're in order. So Gunslinger is the first one. Drawing of the Three is the second one. Wastelands is the third one. Wizards in Glass. This was definitely a floppy version of the book. This is number 4 in the series. So I only need 5 and 6. And hopefully that's the end of that series. I gotta double check. There may be 8. I don't know. If you guys read the series, let me know. I liked this one because it's got pictures in it. I thought that was really, really interesting because none of his works have had pictures in them so far. Like just creepy, abstract images. What's another creepy one? That's another creepy one. It's very creepy. So that is a series that I'm going to be able to continue when I get around to reading the first one. The last ones I got for Stephen King, there are 3 collection books. I didn't know how many collection books he had for his short stories until I got this box. Hearts in Atlanta. Each of these that I have, they have some of his short stories in them. All of them are going to be different. This one in particular, I don't know. Hang on. It doesn't exactly say which ones are in here, which is kind of aggravating. It is what it is. So that's the first collection piece. The next one, this one is called Different Seasons. Yeah, this one's got the works listed in it. So Hope Springs Eternal, Summer of Corruption, Fall from Innocence, and A Winter's Tale. So 4 simple short stories. Thankfully, a shorter one. I wanted to keep the collection ones because I do want to read some of his short stories, but I don't feel like reading a full-on novel. Nightmares and Dreamscapes. This is a bigger collection one, obviously, with a lot more short stories in it. It's gonna be chunky, but this is another Kmart one. This is why I thought it was really funny to have, was because it's a Kmart sticker. Those are all the Stephen King ones. Those are all the ones that I received. The rest of them are going to be Dean Koontz for those who want to stick around a little bit longer. There is a little oddball one, though. I must say, kind of surprised me that it was in here. I only kept it because it is another Pulitzer Prize winner. So we have Roots by Alice Haley. I know nothing about it, but apparently this is a slave story. Henning, Tennessee. Alex's grandmother used to tell him stories about their family, stories that went back to her grandparents, their grandparents, down through the generations, all the way to a man she called the African. She said that he lived across the ocean near what he called the Bombay Bungalow and had been out in the forest one day chopping wood to make a drum when he was set upon by 4 men, beaten, chained, and dragged aboard a slave ship bound for colonial America. So I think it's a slave starter story, learning about your roots, and it's another floppy big book. But you know what? If it's a Pulitzer Prize winner, it's a prize winner for a reason. I don't think I've read anything like that far back to where it first started from Africa. So it's definitely going to be on the list of oddballs. All right, so starting off with Dean Koontz, I'm going to do a rapid fire with these. Some of them sound interesting. At least the novel ones. There are a couple of series ones in here that I'm kind of just going to glaze over. But this one is Breathless. This is probably the farthest back one that I have. This one's got many, many different points of view in it. A lot of different people. And it's a suspense one, so we'll see. I'm not really thrilled about what the synopsis said because it sounded like a bunch of nothing. But that's why we try things. We never know. Next one is called The Face. This one is definitely, it's interesting. You guys can probably see the cover. He's Hollywood's most dazzling star who inspires the worship of millions and the hatred of one twisted soul. His perfectly ordered existence is under siege as a series of terrifying messages penetrates the security of his legendary estate. All that stands between him and an insidious killer is a weary ex-cop who has already seen his own death. Interesting. So next one for the novels is 77 Shadow Street. It definitely looks creepy, on the creepy side. Built as a tycoon's dream home in the 1800s and converted into luxury condominiums not quite a century later, the Gilded Age Palace at the summit of Shadow Hill is a sanctuary for its fortunate residents. Scant traces remain of the episodes of madness, suicide, mass murder, and whispers of things far worse that have scarred its grandeur almost from the beginning. So, I think it sounds a lot like the hotel on The Shining, is what I'm getting off of this. It's chunky. So, we'll see. It kind of sucks that I haven't read any Dean Koontz before because they sound really, really good. But at the same time, I'm like, I really hope I like these. Is What the Night Knows. In the late summer of the long ago year, Alton Blackwell brutally murdered 4 families. 4? Ew. His savage spree ended only when he himself was killed by the last survivor of the last family, a 14-year-old boy. Half a continent away and 2 decades later, someone is murdering families again, recreating in detail Blackwood's crimes. Homicide detective John Cabo is certain that his own family, his wife, and 3 children will be targets. Ooh. That's what sucked. Like, really sucked. It reminded me a lot of, like, the 3rd book in the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. It's like, ooh, it doesn't sound great. Next 2, I don't know where these fall in his backlist, but I got both of these into a little box. Strangers and the Whispers. They don't say what the books are about. All these are blurbs. So we're going to skip over these, but I did get these as well. Fear Nothing is the next one. Christopher Snow is different from all the other residents in Moonlight Bay, different from anyone you've ever met, for Christopher Snow has made his peace with a very rare genetic disorder that leaves him dangerously vulnerable to light. His life is filled with the fascinating rituals of one who must embrace the dark. He knows the night as no one else can, its mystery, its beauty, its terrors, and the eerie silken rhythms that seduce one into believing anything, even freedom, is possible. He witnesses a series of disturbing incidents that sweep him into a violent mystery. Only he can solve a mystery that will force him to rise above all fears and confront the many layered secrets of Moonlight Bay and the strange inhabitants. It's very short, and it sounds really good. We'll see. Okay, this next one is one of the very few hardcovers that I got from Dean Koontz. This is called Innocence, and thankfully the synopsis is very, very short. He lives in solitude beneath the city, in exile from society, which will destroy him if he is ever seen. She dwells in seclusion, a fugitive from enemies who will do her harm if she is ever found. But the bond between them runs deeper than the tragedies that have scarred their lives, something more than chance and nothing less than destiny. Very simple, very to the point, my kind of synopsis. Thank you. Okay, that's it from that stack. Moving on to the last stack. Alright, so I'm going to do a rapid fire through this one. This one, House of Thunder. Don't know what it's about. It doesn't have the dust cover, so we'll skip it. Next one, this is a very, very written copy. I am debating even keeping this because she a little gnarly. But this one is called The Servants of Twilight. This one is from Christine and her 6-year-old son are accosted by a strange old woman. I know who you are. She snaps at the boy. I know what you are. A scream, a threat, and then a grotesque act of violence. So, yeah. It sounds like a very creepy one. Like Shining creepy. But if I can find a better copy, I shall do so because she is on her last leg. Next one, The Door to December. This is, I believe... No, this is also a novel. This one also doesn't say what it's about, so we're going to skip it. Next, we have The Watchers. This is definitely an older one From a top-secret government laboratory came two genetically altered life forms. One is a magnificent dog and the other astonishing intelligence. The other a hybrid monster of a brutally violent nature, and both are on the loose. That sounds lovely. That sounds really creepy. You got me. Okay, next up is Midnight. This one is definitely one of the older ones. Citizens of Moonlight Cove, California are changing. Some are losing touch with their deepest emotions, others are surrendering to their wildest urges. Interesting. And a few who remain unchanged are absolutely terrified. I would too. If not brutally murdered in the dead of night. So, if you survive, you could possibly die because there's creepy things in the night. But that's not creepy at all. Alright, next one, another short one because this one's The Hideaway and I don't know a single thing about it. Next one, this one is called Mr. Murder. This is probably one of the last two that I have that are hardcover. I think this was the one I was intrigued the most about. Because he has a happy marriage, two adorable small daughters, and a successful career, mystery writer Marty Stillwater counts himself a lucky man. But all of this is shattered when a stranger breaks into his house one rainy afternoon to announce, "You stole my wife, my life, and my children. I want them back," claiming to be the real Martin Stillwater. The madman wages a relentless and terrifying campaign to eliminate Marty and recapture the family and life he believes to be his. That's not creepy at all. That would creep me out. If I knew I was me and that was my name, I would be creeped out. Alright, the last one, thank God we did such a rapid fire with this one, is By the Light of the Moon. Dylan O'Connor is a gifted young artist just trying to do the right thing in life. He's on his way to an arts festival in Santa Fe when he stops to get a room for himself and his 20-year-old autistic brother, Shep. But in a nightmarish instant, Dylan is attacked by a mysterious doctor, injected with a strange substance, and told he is now a carrier of something that will either kill him or transform his life in the most remarkable way. Then he is told that he must flee before the doctor's enemies hunt him down for the secrets circulating his body. That would be, like, if it were me or my husband, we would beat the crap out of that doctor. Like, oh, you're gonna, thanks. That sounds so great to me. Why would you do that? I wonder what it does. It'll either kill him or change him. If you see a lot of these authors on my TBR, you now know why, because it's an astronomical amount of books from them. I'm super excited that they always think of me first when getting rid of books, because it's basically giving them another life, and if I can love them as much as Laquita loved them, I know it would definitely make them happy. It will make Greg happy. I hope I like each of them. If not, then they will find another home. Today, thank you so much for joining me. I know this was kind of like a non-exciting book haul because a lot of the authors were the same. I do apologize, but you know what? That's 42 bucks that I had to add to my TBR, and I had to share that because it's gonna hurt, but exciting at the same time. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Love your reads and drink your teas. And I'm going to go get started reading some more. Bye!